Hi, I'm Nick with Atlantic British. We're going to talk about Evoques and troubleshooting if you have a scenario that comes up with a code. Often enough, we get a call for underboost code or overboost code. These engines are very finicky with the temperament or the adjustment of the wastegate, but sometimes it's a boost leak or an adjustment that needs to be done elsewhere. What we've had in the past, we'll discuss, there's the two models. This is pre-2014, this is 2012, 2013. Sometimes in 2013 there's a year where the 14 model was installed, which is the vacuum actuated model. So when you receive your turbo, compare with your the one that's coming off the customer's vehicle. The first indicator will be the brass nipples here. This one's plugged off. With the brass nipple, that's a boost reference. There's two. This is your boost reference, this is your back. And it all gets plumbed in this N75 valve, your boost solenoid. On the pressure actuator, the wastegate flap starts off closed and gets pushed open as boost accumulates in the charge pipes. So that's your main indicator. This one here is a vacuum actuated model, which usually is 14 plus. This starts in the open position. You can put your finger in there. And then another indicator is the plugs on the compressor housing. So you gotta make sure the one coming off the vehicle matches this. And on the 14 plus, the boost solenoid is on the vehicle itself and not attached to the turbo. Sometimes we've had a scenario where the customer said the flap closes on startup and doesn't open anymore, or opens and then doesn't close. This is related to the back lines. This is not specific to this, is it just an example. The lines, you gotta make sure you take pictures before you take it apart. It goes, I'm just pointing randomly, it's not exactly where it goes, but you have to make sure it goes back in the same way. If not, it'll do the adverse effect on the actuator itself. So you gotta pay close attention to that. Boost leaks. Boost leaks is a very common issue because there's all the whole piping everywhere, plastic intercooler end tanks, they crack, they leak. And when they leak, you'll get a code like an overboost. So the actuator will close itself. The computer is going to demand the actuator to close to make more boost to compensate for the leak, and that trips an overboost, even though you're not actually overboosting, just because of the movement of the actuator. So number one, always test for boost leak pressures. A smoke test is not adequate. Smoke tests, it just smoke. If there's a hole in the coupler, like silicone coupler, it will seal itself if there's no pressure. You have to pressurize the system. No smoke needed. You can just do by ear. This is about a 14 psi system. If you can bring it up to 10 psi to 20 psi, everything's gonna be fine. If you don't hear it, you're okay. But you have to pressurize the system here. You put a coupler here, and then you put pressurized air. And you can have tie in a boost gauge, or just set your regulator on your air compressor to the desired boost. And when you open it, you'll hear it bleed off. And when you don't hear the air bleed in into anymore, that's when the test is complete. Once you pass the boost leak test, if you're still having an overboost or underboost condition, sometimes it's just the adjustment of the wastegate. At the end of the rod, there's two 10mm nuts. In this condition, in this scenario, it's a vacuum actuated. So let's say you have an underboost and there's no leaks, then it's not closing fast enough, and it's saying it's not creating enough boost. So what we would do is crack this 10mm nut, move it forward, the thickness of the nut. These nuts are thicker than usual, than your average nut. So the thickness of a nut, and if you feel like it's only intermittent, very seldomly, you could do half a nut close towards this way for underboost. Overboost, it's closing too fast. You have to go the other way. So you open it more. Again, just small increments. In some vehicles, you could do it on the hoist itself, but it's better to do on the street a road test. It's better to do on the road test because you're loading the car. But you can do it on the lift if it's really sensitive, it trips right away. Same thing with the pressure actuator. If it's overboosting, sometimes there's too much preload. You can just back up this nut a little bit, relieve the preload on the actuator, and then that should fix your issue. That's pretty much the gist of it. If there's anything else you'd like to add, please send us an email and we'd be gladly to help you out. Thank you.